food handed out in contempt.
嗟来之食。
Hello everyone. Have you ever felt so hungry that your stomach hurt? What if someone offered you food but spoke to you like a dog? Would you still take it? Today I am going to share a story from ancient China. It is a story about a man who had to make that very choice. We know this story by a simple phrase. The phrase is food handed out in contempt. It comes from a book called the Book of Rites. That book is over 2,000 years old. A long time ago there was a state called Qi. A terrible famine hit the land. The sun burned the crops to dust. Rivers dried up and became dry mud. People had nothing left to eat. They walked the roads with hollow cheeks and empty eyes. Their stomachs growled like angry wild beasts. They held on to each other just to stay standing. It was a dark and hopeless time. But there was a rich man named Qian'ao. He lived in a big house with plenty of food. His kitchen was full of rice and meat and fresh water. Every day his servants cooked large meals just for him, while people outside his gates were dying of hunger. Qian'ao wanted to show how generous he was. He had a strange kind of pride in his heart. He set up a big table right by the roadside. On the table he laid out bowls of hot rice. He also placed cups of clean, cool water there. His servants stood behind him waving large palm fans. He sat there like a king on a wooden throne. He waited for hungry refugees to pass by his table. He wanted everyone to see his act of kindness. But kindness is not just about giving things away. Kindness is about how you make people feel inside. Sometimes the way you give matters more than the gift. Sometimes a warm word is worth more than hot rice. Sometimes respect is the only food a person needs. Qian'ao did not understand this simple truth at all. He saw the hungry people shuffling slowly down the dusty road. He saw their torn clothes and their tired, broken bodies. He saw their eyes full of pain and deep shame. But he did not see them as his equals. He saw them as less than himself somehow. He felt he was better because he had more things. One day a man came walking very slowly toward him. This man was dressed in old rags full of holes. He had one sleeve pulled up to hide his face. He did not want anyone to see his suffering. He was ashamed of how weak and hungry he looked. His shoes were so worn out they dragged on the ground. Step by step he made his way to the table. His body swayed from side to side like thin bamboo. He had not eaten any real food for many days. Maybe he had only sipped dirty water from a puddle. Maybe he had chewed on tree bark to stop the pain. He was at the very edge of his own life. Qian'ao saw this pitiful man coming closer to him. He did not feel sadness or pity in his heart. He did not think this man was a fellow human. He just saw a chance to show off his wealth. He grabbed a bowl of rice with his left hand. He grabbed a cup of water with his right hand. He stood up tall and puffed out his big chest. Then he shouted out in a loud, rude voice. He used a word that you shout at animals. He did not say sir or friend or good man. He yelled out one single mean and arrogant word. Hey! Come and eat this food right now. That word hey was like a sharp, cruel slap. It was a word that took away all human dignity. It was a word that said you were nothing to me. It was a word that hurt more than any fist. The hungry man stopped walking and stood very, very still. The world around him seemed to grow silent and cold. Even the wind stopped blowing for a short moment. He lowered the torn sleeve from his tired old face. He lifted his head and looked straight at Qian'ao. His eyes were sunk deep into his thin skull. But in those tired eyes there was a fierce fire. It was the fire of a man who still had pride. It was the fire of a man who knew his worth. It was the fire of a man who refused to break. He did not reach out for the bowl of rice. He did not even look down at the steaming food. Instead, he spoke in a voice that was quiet but strong. He said words that have lasted for thousands of years. He said, I am starving not because there was no food. I am starving because I refuse to eat food handed out in contempt. I would rather die with an empty belly and a full soul. I would rather die than let you treat me like a beast. I would rather die than give up my self-respect. My hunger is nothing compared to losing who I am. My hunger is nothing compared to being seen as nothing. My hunger is nothing compared to my own dignity. Those words hung in the air like a heavy stone. Qian'ao was shocked and his face turned very pale. He realized he had made a very great mistake. He understood that his food was not a true gift. It was a chain wrapped up in a nice bowl. It was a way to make himself feel more powerful. It was an insult disguised as a friendly offer. He put the bowl down and quickly chased after the man. He called out to him with a much softer voice. He said, wait, please forgive me for what I did. I was wrong to speak to you in that way. I see now that you are a man of great honor. Please come back and eat the food as my guest. You have taught me something I will never forget. Please let me serve you with proper respect this time. But the hungry man did not turn his head around. He did not slow down his slow, painful walk. He kept moving forward step by step down the road. His back was straight even though his body was weak. He never stopped to look back at the steaming food. He never stopped to listen to Qian'ao's pleading words. His pride was the only thing he had left now. And he would guard it with his very last breath. He walked away until he was just a small shape. Then he was gone into the dust and the heat. He vanished into the endless line of that dry horizon. He died of hunger later that same long day. But he died as a man, not as a beggar. He died on his own feet, not on his knees. He died with his name lost but his spirit unbroken. Later a wise teacher heard about this whole sad event. His name was Xingzi and he thought very deeply. He said something that we should all think about. He said, if the giver is rude you may refuse. That is the right thing to do and no one can blame you. But if the giver truly says sorry for his mistake, then maybe it is okay to accept the food. This gives us something very important to think about. Is it ever right to forgive such an insult? Should a person hold on to pride until the very end? Or is there a time to let the hurt go? There is no easy answer to such a hard question. That is why the story still matters to us now. It is not just a story about long ago China. It is a story about every single one of us. It asks us, what would you do in that moment? If you were starving and someone offered you help with sneers. If they made you feel small and worthless and low. If they made you feel like a bug on the ground. Would you swallow your pride just to fill your belly? Would you take the food and pretend not to care? Or would you stand up and walk away like he did? Or would you stand up and say, no, I am worth more? Would you find the strength to say no to the food? Would you find the strength to say yes to yourself? That is the heart of this ancient true story. It is not really about rice or about water. It is about the flame inside every human heart. It is about the voice that whispers you are somebody. It is about the power to say no to shame. We all face small moments of this in our own lives. Maybe not with food, but with other kinds of help. Maybe a boss who talks down to you at your job. Maybe a friend who lends you money but holds it over you. Maybe someone who does you a favor but demands your worship. In those moments you have to remember this hungry man. Remember his tired eyes and his very straight back. Remember that he chose hunger over being treated like dirt. Remember that he chose death over losing his own soul. Real giving comes from a place of love and respect. It never comes with a loud, rude voice attached. It never comes with a chain of shame wrapped around it. It never comes with a need to make you feel small. When you give to someone, give with a soft hand. Give with a gentle heart and a quiet voice. See the person you are helping as your equal. See them as a brother or a sister in need. See them as someone who is just like you inside. We all get hungry and we all feel pain. We all need a hand to hold in the darkness. We all need a bowl of rice sometimes in life. We all need a cup of cool water too. But we all need our dignity just as much. Sometimes we need our dignity even more than food. Sometimes we need respect more than we need bread. Never take away a person's sense of their own worth. That is a hunger that no food can ever fix. That is a wound that no water can wash clean. That is a scar that stays with a person forever. So the next time you hear a rude, arrogant "Hey," remember this story and remember the man who walked away. Remember the phrase food handed out in contempt. It is a short phrase, but it has a very deep meaning. It is a lesson from 2,000 years ago. And it is still a lesson for us all today. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next story. Take care of your belly, but also take care of your soul. Take care of your hunger, but also take care of your heart. Take care of yourself and take care of those around you. Take care of the world and take care of your dignity. Goodbye for now, and may you always know your worth.
下集请移步主页观看。